Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. We're back for another trade show with Light Elegance UK. This time it is the autumn trade show. So if you are just tuning into this, hi everyone. There were some really amazing lives last night from the team. We had Lenore, Nicole and Tina who did some lovely Halloween nail art, and I'm here tonight to show you some more Halloween nail art. We're going to be doing some scream designs and some blood drips and things, so lovely Halloween bits. Hi everyone. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Connie. I am a Light Elegance UK brand ambassador and educator. I've been using Light Elegance now for about 7 years, and yeah, love the products to bits. Hi everyone. And I was very lucky to become a brand ambassador a couple of years ago and became an educator at the start of this year. Hi guys. So the code for today is valid until midnight tonight, so if you still have some stocking up to do or there's any bits you'd like to try, you can use the code autumn20 on Light Elegance UK and that will save you 20% until midnight tonight. So we will go ahead and get started. Just bear with me and I'll flip you around a wee second. So we'll move these out the way so we've got a nice clear space. So the products that I'm going to be using today are primarily these ones. So we've got black and white gel paint, which are really great staples. They are so pigmented and amazing for nail art. And then I also have my black tie and just white buttercreams, which they do much the same job, these two, but these ones I find are just a bit more pigmented and they are a bit more gel-like, so lines going a bit thicker and things like that. But if you're familiar with the buttercreams, you'll know that you can play around with the consistency and get the one that works for you. If you want to agitate the product, you can make it a bit thinner, or if you want to take it straight out of the pot, you can use it a bit thicker as well. So we'll be going between those two, and then the reds we have Provocative. That was from the new Dare to Indulge collection. This one has been so popular with all my clients. They all love a deep burgundy, but this one is just gorgeous. It's a sort of maroon burgundy, really nice red. You can see it's been really well loved. And then I also have Kiss My Sass. That was from last year's autumn collection, the Moody collection. So this is a wee bit different. It's got a slight shimmer to it. Hopefully you can see that in the light there, and again this is very well loved. So we'll be going between the two of those, and then if we've got time I've also got my gold and silver, which again are two staples for nail art, and they'll go really lovely with the rest of those colours we've got. So the designs that I did earlier are here, so we've got some different French designs, different sort of blood drips, and we've got a wee ghost face as well, and I couldn't resist doing a wee spider web. I love doing spider webs this time of year. It's just such a cute wee design and you can do it pretty quickly as well, so it's really salon friendly. Hi everyone, if you've got any questions just pop them below and I'll do my best to keep an eye and answer as we go along. But yeah, so we will get started. So I've got my tips all prepped here. So for this one I have used Cover Pink One Step for these, so it's a really nice neutral pink. I gave this a wee mix and I did get a few air bubbles in it, but those will go away just as it settles. But a really nice pink, and it gives a really nice coverage as well. But you could pair this obviously with any of your neutrals, or you could do it over black or whatever you fancy. So which which one will we start with? We will start on one of the Frenchies, so we'll go for this one. So this was a design that my client picked when she went for this design on her nails. We wanted to do a nice French with some blood drips. Her initial thinking it was something like this, where the blood was dripping from the French, but obviously to have this on a client's nail, you're going to have them have their nails pretty long without it being like a half and half French. For my Frenchies, I try not to do more than like a third of the nail, just so it still makes that nail bed look nice and elongated. So we decided to go for this. That way we could keep our French nice and not a micro French, but nice and thin, and still have the effect of the blood drips. But obviously, depending on your clients, the length of their nails and things, you can tweak it as need be. So for our tools for today, I've got my two oval brushes, so I have one for my dark cream colours and one for my light cream colours. I like to keep my brushes with a wee spot at the end just so I know exactly what they are, and I've got different colour schemes, so one for like pink and red, one for my blues and greens, and for my lights and darks I'll have separate ones for my creams and my shimmers, because you know what it's like once you get a shimmer into those brushes, it's not coming out. So we've got those two. I also have a couple of fine liner brushes, and we have our dotting tools, so the Light Elegance styluses. So these are great. I use these for pretty much all of my nail art designs. So that's what we'll be using today. And we'll get started. So I'll zoom these in. Hopefully you can see that okay and the lighting's alright. You can let me know. So I'm going to start off with just white. So you could use your white gel paint, just it's a personal preference for doing your French. And I'm taking a fine liner brush, just working that in. And we'll do the French nice and thin. So because these are the blink tips, by the way, but because these are nice and long, we can get away with being thin but still enough. Do you know what I mean? But if this was your client, you could really easily do a wee micro French as well if they had shorter nails, and it would still look really cool. So you can let me know as well what Halloween designs have been popular with yourselves this year. I've had lots of wee ghosts, lots of cute pumpkins and things like that. But I do like these, the more kind of out there ones as well. They're really fun to do. So just filling that in, we are going to be kind of outlining this with a red as well, so you don't have to be too precious about getting it super neat at this point. It's just kind of getting it on there. There we go. So we'll pop that in, and while so these are all going into the LED dot for 60 seconds, and while we're waiting, we'll do the slightly thicker one as well. So for this one, I tried to start about a third of the way up the nail, about here, just so we've got plenty of room for those drips to come from on the white. So if you're just joining us, hello, thank you for joining me. We are here for some Halloween nail art for the Light Elegance UK Autumn Trade Show, so you can save 20% on Light Elegance UK till midnight tonight with the code autumn20, so make the most of it while you can. And I've just went way over the line there, but that's fine, we'll fix that in a wee second. if you're catching up at this with this on a later date, you can always use my code Conni. That will save you 5% site-wide all year round, but unfortunately the codes can't be combined for the trade show, so definitely go ahead and make the most of that 20%. If you've got any questions or anything like that, just put them below and I'll try my best to keep an eye on the comments. So again, our blood drips are going to be coming down here, so it doesn't need to be perfect. But we'll go ahead and pop that in. So this one is ready, so I'm just going to wipe off my brush. I have the LE Pro wipes here, which are great. They're really gentle on your brushes. And just super handy for everything. So I think for the first one we'll go ahead with Provocative. So because it's that really nice maroony reddy brown, it's perfect for the blood drips. It looks really effective. So I'm actually going to, I'm going to start with my fine liner brush here. And then I'm just going to outline the French that we've done just to give us a starting point. Just like that. So you can see, depending how much product you put on, you can get that really kind of deep maroony brown, or you can get that almost red. So that's why this is so good for getting that kind of realistic blood effect. Hopefully you can see that one right. I always struggle doing this side, especially when I'm trying to film it, so my hand doesn't get in the way. There we go. So again, it doesn't need to be perfect, but there we go. And then I'm going to take my dotting tool. So for this one I'm going to take the number 3 stylus. Again, this tip, it's quite a large kind of surface area, but if your client had really small nail beds, you could use the number 2 or the number 1, just depending on what you need. And then we're just going to place some wee dots. So these are going to be the ends of our drips, so you can just place them wherever you feel you want to. I like to kind of spread them out a wee bit and have them different lengths. Hi everyone. And we'll get one more down the side here. So we'll start with that, and then I'm going to go back to my liner brush and then join these up. Hopefully you can all see okay, just with a line down to that red. So we've got something like that, and then I'm going to take a bit more product on my brush, and then we're just going to join everything up and make it look nice and seamless. So I like to kind of do a sort of sweepy motion along the edges. Oh. And I've just made a wee mistake there, but don't worry, especially when you're doing bloods, because it can all add to the effect. You could wipe it off, or you could just paint some other little splotches around and it'll make it look a bit more realistic. So just filling that in and then doing that with all of them. So you can make these go as high or as low as you want. And then last one. So if there's any little bits you have to neaten up, you can go ahead and fill those in. So you can see, again, depending how much product you put on, how much pressure on your brush, you can get a different sort of shade of the red. And then we'll also go ahead and this wee short one, we'll do a little drip just coming off the end. So just taking our dot until again, and then this is almost going to be like a little kind of teardrop shape. So just drag in one wee point out just so it looks like it's dripping off there. So I say I'm quite happy with that, so we'll go ahead and pop that in. And this one is all ready. So we've got a bit more surface area to work with the French here, so we're going to do the drips going the other way around. So again, I'm just going to start with that same process and just outline the white. There we go. And then same again, taking our dotting tool, just doing these the other way around this time. So we'll start with one in the middle and then just work our way around. Fit some wee ones in at the edges. Then I'm just going to do the same again and join these up. Here we go, and then I'm just taking a bit more product on my brush again, and I'm just going to make that sort of scalloped edge effect just to join the drips together. So I'm going to just bring this one down just a little bit lower, just so it's not quite so symmetrical. So I've got something like that. So again, I'm quite happy with that. So we'll pop that into the dot for 60 seconds. And this one that we did earlier is all done. So we'll pop that on here for top coating a wee bit later. And then we'll go into our ghost face. So again, I'm just starting off with my wee tip that's all prepped, and I'm going to go in with black tie. So I do really love the black gel paint just because it is so pigmented. It's really great for doing nail art and things, but if I am going to be doing like a full coverage black, I tend to use black tie just because it goes on a little bit thinner and you know you're going to get a full cure. So I like to do it in 2 thin layers, but if you're going for a full coverage. But when you're doing nail art on top like this, like for this one here, I just did 1 thin layer and you can see how pigmented it is. It's really great. So I've just taken a small amount of black tie on my brush. And you can see how great just 1 wee thin coat is. So I'm just going to add a tiny bit more. There we go. And we'll pop that into cure. And this one is all done as well. There we go. So we've got two different style Frenchies. We'll get to this one as well. This looks really cute with a really cool with a ghost face, because it does look like your cuticles are literally bleeding, which obviously we wouldn't usually want, but it's really fun for Halloween. And then we've got a little spiderweb design with some blood splotches as well. So this is the one that I did earlier. Oh, there's so many different ways you can do this. You could do it as like a little, just a mini one, like popping out the edge, but I like the kind of full coverage design. There we go, so our black is all done. And I'm going to go in with just white for the details, so I'm just going to wipe off my brush before I get covered in it. And I'm going to switch to my fine liner brush again. So going in with just white. Hopefully you can see that okay against my black gloves. You'll see it once the light goes on. You'll see exactly what we're doing. And then we're just going to start doing a sort of V shape, going down to the centre and bringing that back up. So again, you don't need to worry about it being too perfect at this point. You can always, flash curing's really good, because then you can always go and wipe away and go back to it, but we can always neaten up the edges by adding some more black and white if you make a wee mistake or it's not perfect the first time. So we've got kind of outline of his wee chin there, and then for the eyes we're going to bring out the sides just a little bit, and then just bringing that up, and then the same at the other side. So please do bear with me. You'll know that when you're doing nail art like this, it's so much easier just to go into your own wee world and concentrate. So I'm trying my best to keep talking, but please bear with me if I go a bit quiet, that's why. Again, any questions, just put them in the comments, guys. Thank you to everyone who's watching along. If you missed any of the ones from last night, they were all amazing as well. We had the girls from the BA team and the education team all doing their own wee spins on their Halloween nail art as well, so they're all saved on the Light Elegance Instagram page, so you can go and catch up at any time. So we've got a kind of rough outline. Now I might just bring out those sides just a little bit more. There we go. And then for filling this in, because the mouth is such like a big kind of negative space, when I did this one I actually just did it with the white. So we'll go ahead and do that again. If you would rather just fill it in, and then that means you can wipe away any mistakes, that is totally fine as well. So the edges kind of come in a wee tiny bit at the side, so I'm just going to wave that in, and then we'll go ahead and fill in the rest. So I'm actually going to switch, just to save a wee bit of time, I'm going to switch to my oval brush, pick up some more product, and we'll just fill that in with the brush just to save a wee bit of time. So you can see again, just white, how pigmented it is, even over that black. You really do need the tiniest amount. That's why these are so good for nail art, because you can get those really precise lines and really great coverage without making the nail bulky at all. There we go. So just even that out a little bit. You can see my brush strokes, but again we're going to be going over this area with more nail art, so it doesn't need to be too perfect. So I'm going to pop that in as it is. And again, while we're waiting, we'll get started on our little spiderweb design. So these are so fun to do this time of year, and once you get into the swing of it, you really can do them quite quickly, and you can loads of different colours. They're really cute in gold or silver, or I had someone get them in pink the other week, which was really cute. So I've just loaded my brush up. It's a really fine liner brush with some product, and I'm just going to start from the corner. Hopefully my hand isn't blocking that. Just let the brush do the work for you, so just bringing that straight down, and same again, taking a tiny bit more product and then just fanning that out. And can we squeeze in another one here? There we go. So we've got a kind of outline for our spider webs, and then I like to just again put a tiny bit more product on my brush, but you can just use the product that you've got from the lines there, and I like to just sort of do just a wee scalloped edge just to join those lines up. So again, if you wanted to before that step, you could flash cure just to make sure if you made any mistakes you could go back in and wipe the design without interfering with your lines, but it's quite nice if you don't, because then you're able to, like, can you see here, there's like just a little gap where the two wee bits meet, you can just join them up really seamlessly. So we've got the first wee layer, and then I'm going to go in and do another couple, so just a wee bit further down. Autumn Lane Beauty says, I love the spiderweb design, quick and easy to do. Do you know what it is? It's really fun, and it is super quick as well. If you're in the salon and your client decides last minute that they want a wee bit of Halloween nail art, this is definitely a great go-to. There we go, and I think we'll do one more. Just joining them up. So if you wanted to do these in like a gold or silver, you could use your gold or silver buttercreams. They're really great for getting your really pigmented fine lines as well. Or if you wanted to chrome, as long as you have like a matte surface, or you've cleansed an inhibition layer off of your builder layer, primary black gel paint is really good for chroming on top. So if you were to do this with primary black and then go in with your chrome, it would give you a really good effect. Because the gel paints are really great for that. Like I say, just as long as you make sure you've either put down a matte top coat or just cleansed your inhibition layer from your base layer. So I'm just going ahead and going over those initial lines that we did just to make it all a bit more seamless. And I like to sort of fade them out to nothing. So there we go, serving spiderweb design. So we'll pop that in, and a wee ghost face should be ready to come out. There we go. So we had his mouth already done with the negative space, so I'm just going to wipe off my brush. And I'm going to take some more black tie buttercream. So for his eyes, they are kind of swooping down and they kind of come out where those little edges are. So we'll start off, hopefully you can see that okay, a bit here. And just doing a sort of swoopy motion. And then just the same at the other side. Just bringing that up to the centre and then rounding it off at the top. So they're kind of like wee bean shapes. Just on their side and going out to the side like that. And then the same for the other one. So just join that up and kind of swooping down in the centre and going back up. There we go. And then I'm just going to even these out a little bit. So I'd say I'm quite happy with those. And then his nose is like a wee kind of upside down love heart. So you could go in with your dotting tool. Oh, I've just seen some wee questions. Autumn Lane Beauty says, will it not stick to the powder layer? So as long as, if you're chroming with your black, primary black gel paint, that's why it's really important to cleanse. So if you were doing it, you would need to cleanse off your tip and either buff it with your Light Elegance buffer, or you could go ahead and apply flat matte, which is a really nice base for nail art or chrome. And that way your black tie gel paint is going to stick to your base layer. But once you go in with that chrome, the chrome isn't going to stick to your flat matte top coat or your cleansed and buffed base layer. It'll just slide right off. I will show you that actually if we've got a wee second, if we've got some time at the end. So yeah, for his wee nose, it's kind of like an upside down love heart. So just down 2 tiny wee dots. Again, you could use your dotting tool for this, I'm just using my brush to save time. So we've got something like that, and then just joining them up in the middle. So we've got something like that. So before I go ahead and smudge this, I'm going to pop it in the lamp. And we'll go back to our little spiderweb design. So on my wee practice tip, I did do some little blood droplets and blood splotches, so we'll go ahead and do these as well. So for that one, we'll switch to Kiss My Sass, which is a really nice, deep, true red, and it's got a wee shimmer. So it just adds a wee something. It doesn't look quite as realistic, but it looks very pretty. So just do some random little dots. So I'm doing them a little bit smaller. So I've got my number 2 dotting stylus here, and we'll just stick these wherever you fancy. There we go. We'll stick with this here for now. And then I'm just going back to my fine liner brush, taking a tiny, tiny wee amount of product just on the very end there. And then just going to bring these up to a point. There we go. So we've got tiny little blood drops, and then for our sort of blood spatter, I'm going to go back to provocative and just take a really small amount. And then I just kind of did this really randomly, just kind of stamped it all over. Different directions, different like pressure. Amounts of pressure will give you different amounts of pigment coming off. So there we go, we have some blood spatter, so we'll pop that in the lamp. And our wee ghostie should be almost ready. So you could definitely just leave it there if you wanted to. For this one I did go in and just add a little bit more detail, just to add a wee tiny bit of dimension. So I'm just going to go back and take the tiniest amount of black tie, and I'm just going to wipe that off. So there's hardly any product on the brush there. And then I just did a couple of little outlines at the top of his eyes, just like that. They almost look like wee eyebrows, but they're actually not meant to. It's just meant to make it look a wee bit more hollow, and just add a wee bit more dimension there. And I'll bring that down the side a little bit. Oh, sorry. And then same again, just taking a tiny bit of product and wiping off my brush, and then I'm just going to add some dimension around like the cheekbones. So just to bring that in, and then the same at the other side. Like that, and then you could do a couple little bits around his mouth as well. So you can see wiping off your brush actually really does help, because it almost looks like a grey, especially on top of the white. There we go. So I'd say I'm pretty happy with that. We'll go ahead and pop that in. And our little spider web is all done, so I'm going to pop that with the tips that we've done. And will we have time for another one? I don't think we're going to have time for another one. I'm really sorry, but yeah, if you were chroming, like I say, so you've got your base like this, you would go give it a wee wipe with your cleanser and LE wipe. Make sure you cleanse that thoroughly, and you then give it a buff or pop on your matte top coat, go in with your web design, chrome, and then you can add anything on top. Hopefully the next live I'll be able to show you some examples of that. And these were the ones we did earlier. So I think the only one that we've not done is the one coming from the cuticle area. So again, that would look really effective on your client's real nail, because it would look like, like I say, like the cuticles are bleeding. But as long as it's only gel. And then we went in with just a bit more of the blood spatter effect. So again, I'm just taking a tiny wee amount of provocative on my fine liner brush and just kind of stamping that all over. So again, just different directions, kind of blending it out. There we go. So I'd say I'm quite happy with that. So we'll go ahead and pop that in for the final time, and we'll get to top coating. So So you could use any top coat of your choice. Super shiny is just my all-time fave, but these would look really cool with flat matte as well. I might actually try that for the ghost face. We'll get some flat matte just to see how it looks. There we go. So I've got my flat matte top coat here. And we'll go over our wee spiderweb design with it as well. And our wee ghost face is all done, so I'll use the flat matte for that as well. So I find when you matte top coat over some nail art, it really adds to the kind of cartoony effect, which can be really effective, but the shiny is just, you can't beat the shiny either. So there we go, and I'm going to go in with super shiny for the other two. Autumn Lane Beauty says, looks like real blood spatters. I always struggle as I want to make them too perfect and they end up looking weird. This is such an organic way. Oh, do you know, I think we're all our biggest critics, aren't we? But do you know, see, especially with nail art, there's no right or wrong way to do things. And I'm sure your client would be more than happy with it. However, but yeah, honestly, sometimes just doing it totally randomly and unorganised is the best way. Gives the best effect. Patsy says, hi Connie, hi mum. Thanks for joining me. You've just requested to be in the live as well. Unfortunately I can't accept. But thanks for being here. And there we go. So we'll do the last one shiny as well. There we go. So I'm just going to add a little bit more just to sort of help hide the little divots that we've got. If I had more time, I would go in with Skinny Jimmy, which would, you could do a sort of really thin builder layer and just help even those out. But a little spot of your top coat should do the trick as well if you're in a time crunch. So there we go. You can see they're not perfect, but they've pretty much evened it out. And we'll go ahead and pop them in to cure for 60 seconds. And like I said, these were the ones that we did earlier. So there we go. Autumn Lane says, I also always request. I thought we must in order to comment. Honestly, it's so funny. It's so easy to do. I just need to be sure not to press accept. But we've all been there. It's so easy done. So we'll just wait on those ones coming out the lamp, and I'm gonna close all of these up before I get myself covered. So again, if we had more time, you could go around all of these and just kind of outline them with the silver or the gold, and it would just add a wee extra something as well. There we go. So our designs are out the lamp. I'm just going to give these a cleanse and we'll be able to see the full effect of the matte top coat. There we go, so you can see that drying down. And it just sort of takes away any, not any dimension, because obviously we've painted it on, but it takes away the kind of, obviously the shininess. But it just really adds to that sort of cartoony effect. And we've got our shiny ones. So there we go. So you can see the difference between the matte and the shiny there. The flat matte's really nice because it gives an almost sort of satin matte finish, which is really cute. But yeah, so that's our Scream nail art. So thank you so much to everyone for watching. Remember, you can use the code autumn20 at Light Elegance UK. That's valid until midnight tonight. And yeah, definitely make the most of it. Autumn Lane says, love the matte look of it. Can we also matte top coat and then draw on with gel paint and leave it as is without top coat? And again, yeah, absolutely. Just be sure to cleanse before you let your client go, but absolutely you can do that. You can also do that with the buttercreams as well. They give a nice, like, if you want to do some 3D art, you can absolutely go ahead and on top of your top coat, and once you've cleansed it, it gives a really nice matte effect as well. So yeah, absolutely. That would have been pretty cool actually, to do the blood drops like that. But I'm going to need to try that on my next client who requests it. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for everyone who's commented, and I hope it's been helpful. Like I say, make the most of the discount, and I will see you all again soon. Thank you, bye.